Is this a blessing or a curse? We're not sure. Hi Bookflowers, it's Kristen from Perks of a Bookflower. And if I don't look right in the face right now, it's because you're probably seeing the recently shed tears that I just cried over the movie Onward, and oh my goodness, will I ever move onward from this movie? Oh, if you are here, then you are a lucky soul, because that means that most likely you have seen the Disney movie Onward. The story of basically two brothers who try to bring their father back to life, but to do so they have to go on a magical quest to find a phoenix gem. I finished the movie about 15 minutes ago. While I was watching it, I couldn't help thinking about books that were incredibly similar to this movie, and I thought, hey, why don't I just pop into my channel on a Monday, which I don't normally do, and recommend some books that are similar to this movie. So how I'm gonna do this is I kind of picked some overarching topics that are dealt with in this movie that you can find in other books, so that even though the movie is over and you've rewatched it 500 times, you can now move on to a book with similar concepts. So in the description box below, I will list what I'm going to be talking about and its connection with the movie if you want to flip through and just kind of see and hop right to it, or you can follow along through the whole thing with me. So let's get started. As you know, Onward has to do with a shy guy named Ian who really steps out of his comfort zone. So I want to recommend to you a book about a shy guy who steps out of his comfort zone. If you're a bookflower who regularly watches my videos, then you know what I'm about to be talking about. My brand. Perks of a Wallflower is the book for you. This follows the story of a boy named Charlie who is very shy. In fact, we might call him a wallflower. And he steps out of his comfort zone by making some friends and dealing with childhood issues and basically coming of age into who he truly is. In the same way that Ian in Onward kind of overcomes his fears and really goes after what he wants, Charlie from Perks of Being a Wallflower does the same thing and really becomes his own person as well. So that is my first recommendation to you, based off just following the story of a shy guy who learns to face his fears. But maybe you really connected with the story of Onward because of how it talked about grief and dealing with it. And if that's the case, then the book that I have to recommend to you, one of my favorites about dealing with grief and its lasting effects, would be The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X.R. Pan. This is a story of a young girl whose mother dies, and our main character, Lynn, goes to visit her maternal grandparents in Taiwan, and while there, the bird that she believes is her mother is seen again, and so she goes kind of on a grand quest around the city to find her mother and have a conversation with her. Another beautiful thing about this story is the fact that it's written so lyrically, and it's unique, and the fact that it describes colors in almost poetry. Its colors are being used to relate to emotions, and not just like, oh, I'm blue and sad, but like real in-depth analysis of color just lyrically sprinkled into this already rich, heartfelt story. So if you enjoyed Onward because you really had a connection with the experience of grief that was felt there, then I believe that you also will enjoy The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X.R. Pan. But maybe what you really enjoyed about Onward was the fact that it was like a modern take on a knight's quest. And if that's the case, I have to recommend a road trip story to you. And the road trip story that I am recommending is The Geography of Lost Things by Jessica Brody. There are many similarities between this story and the movie Onward, one of them being the fact that our main character's father has died, and she goes on a quest to sell her father's car, but ends up learning so much more and kind of gaining a deeper understanding of her father and herself because of it. Just like Onward, where Ian kind of discovers that even though he didn't have his father growing up, he still had his brother who served in a similar way. There is also a similar theme of appreciating what you have and not taking for granted the loved ones in your life just because of how you have been hurt. So if you enjoyed Onward because of its take on a modern quest, you'll love this because the road trip serves as a great quest and it also shares some big comparisons with the movie. Maybe you liked Onward because it was such a dangerous quest filled with dragons and mythical creatures. And if that's the case for you, then we're going to have to do a throwback to a classic book that I'm sure you've heard of, but probably probably haven't read, called The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. Yes, we know this story. Beloved Hobbit friend goes off on magical quest to Dragon's Lair to save world. Basically, meeting charming, delightful creatures along the way. There are tons of comparisons between The Hobbit and Onward, so if you loved Onward, you really can't go wrong with this classic fave. The last book that I would like to recommend to you, based on if you liked Onward, is going to be a book about brothers. Only, I've decided that I really want you to get involved into this recommendation process. So instead of me telling you some books based off brothers that you want to read, you can check the comments and add in yourself a book about brothers that you really loved and enjoyed. And then hopefully we'll get a few so that you can get your recommendation from my Bookflowers. So yeah, if you have a good book about brothers that you've enjoyed, make sure that you leave that in the comments below. It'll kind of help everyone out and you'll get some other fresh ideas just besides mine. Alright, Bookflowers, that's going to be it for now. If you like this video, be sure that you hit the like button. In the comments below, leave me your recommendations on books that have to do with brothers, as well as if you've read any of the books that I mentioned or any other recommendations that you have for others would be awesome too. Tell me your thoughts on the movie. I'd love to hear those as well. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I post new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, and sometimes when I watch the right movie or the compulsion just hits me, I just throw in another video like I'm doing today. That's gonna be it for now. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.